hell does that mean? Seriously, what does failure mean? It doesn't exist. It's a figment of your imagination. The point is, the story continues.
Welcome back, ladies and gents. Episode who knows what, season 3, episode 1. That's what I do know. I am so excited to be back doing the Life Must Go On podcast. It has been way too long, and I'm going to jump into that and tell you all of the reasons why it's been so long. But I'm just happy to be back. It's so fun. It's therapeutic. It's wonderful. If there's people who don't do or have never been a part of a podcast, it really is like therapy to me. Being able to express your thoughts, ideas, your feelings, all this stuff. It just, I don't know, it just gets it all out. It's cool. And then at the same time, you're able to spread a great message, help people out, and that's ultimately the reason I do this. It's ultimately the reason we're back in action here. The podcast, it has been on a whirlwind and a roller coaster ride since the very beginning. I have been all over the place from the very start. I had no idea how to get a podcast started. Thankfully, I had a bunch of good friends and good people that helped me with the whole process of figuring out where to put it, how to record it, filming it, those kinds of things. I literally had zero idea, but I had a drive and an ambition to get something done, and so I just worked at it and said, let's just get it done. This time around is no different. We have been all over the map. I got married since the last podcast. Yeah, I've gotten married since my last podcast. My wife is pregnant since my last podcast. We're going to be having a baby girl. How exciting. Our baby is due in April. April 3rd is the official date. We'll see if she comes that day or a little bit earlier, a little bit later. We'll see. But so far, everything's good. She's healthy. It is crazy. Becoming a father is absolutely insane to me. I am so nervous. I have no idea. I don't know what to expect. I've never been a dad. I mean, I've been a dad to like my friends and stuff because, I'd be raising those kids pretty much. That's how it is. But I've never been a father. I have no idea how it's going to be. And I want to say I am prepared, but how prepared can you actually be? I'm prepared to be unprepared, really, is the real meaning behind all of the prepared aspect of it. I'm just excited for it, and I'm ready to do what it takes. That's what I'll say. I am ready to do what it takes. And I think, I don't know, we haven't even had the baby yet, but I feel as if that's the lessons that I've already been learning, is just being ready to do what it takes to make sure that this kid has the best life that we can possibly give it. We're just so excited to give her, I should say, sorry. We're just so excited to have her here and get her on the podcast one day. No, I'm just kidding. We're just excited to have her. So that's the kind of stuff that's been going on. It has been all over the place. We moved, as you can tell. This isn't the same place. I wasn't even filming at the last one. I was just doing everything from my laptop. We're going to maintain a similar format where I will still be interviewing people and hearing their amazing stories and how they overcome them. That's one thing I really want to focus on, and that's what a lot of you guys really, really liked. And so that's what we're going to continue to do. But I as well am going to take a little bit different of an angle. It's sometimes hard to schedule somebody every single week. So I'll try my best to do it, but on the weeks that I don't have someone scheduled, it'll just be me, a specific topic that is in reference to Life Must Go On, and we'll be dissecting that topic. Today's topic is just going to be me discussing what the heck's been going on and why I haven't been doing the podcast for so long. I want to give a quick shout out to Devin Nez's little brother, Jason Nez. He has helped me get everything in here set up. He'd been hiding his talents from me. I had no idea what he did. I was like, I don't even know what this boy does. But he does videography, he does guitar, he does everything. He's like a rock star. He literally goes and performs, and it's super, super awesome. I've been learning the guitar, and I'm catching up to him. maybe in another year or 3. But he's incredible, and he helped me get all this set up properly, and is making it so it's just more enjoyable to watch. We can film it. It can be exciting. I'm pumped up for it. So big shout out to Jason. Huge loves for you, Jason. He's right here behind the camera. He better not say a word. Just kidding. But thank you, Jason. So over the past couple of months, we have just faced a lot of amazing experiences, but at the same time been a part of our own challenges. Towards the end of the last season of the podcast, I lost my job. So I'd lost my job, and I was doing a bunch of podcast episodes, and it was really fun because the podcast was progressing. We were able to get on the news. We were able to do a lot of things. I got a magazine that I was able to get on. We just had a filming of it over there, but you guys have seen it on Instagram, I'm sure. We were able to get on the magazine. We were able to hop on the news. Just stuff like that. That was really, really cool, and it was really progressing. The flip side of this, though, was that I had lost my job at the peak of the economy was just pure butt sack. It was terrible. And so I had lost my job in the peak of tons of people losing their jobs. And so the job market was really, really wild. I had been doing sales at this company who shall not be named because we despise them. But I was doing sales at this company and was let go due to some pretty controversial things. I don't want to discuss it too in depth. Maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should discuss it in depth. But I got fired via a joke that I had made. That's the world that we now live in. If you make a joke, people get really upset about it. It was not a joke of anything that you guys would blink about. I'll tell you that much. It was not a joke that would be like, oh, he shouldn't be saying that. It wasn't even like it was the baseline of baseline of baseline. It was that, and then as well, there was a boy that I worked with who he must have just had some issues because, and I hope he's doing all right. I hope he's figured himself out and he's learning how to shape up and be a more decent human. Anywho, but he had made a sale that was really big, and it was a really good sale. It was a huge sale, and he went up and he wrote it down on the board, and we were like, oh, good job, dude. And I reached over and I said, dude, great work. Patted him on the side of the butt. Just like good game. You know, that's what you do in life. That's how it is. It's what I do with my friends. That's what you do. I've played basketball my whole life. That's how it goes. You pat a guy on the butt. You say, good job, dude. That was an awesome sale. That's what I said. And so when they take me back, in fact, I'll dissect the entire story. So it first started with the butt spank. I thought nothing of it, moved on with my life, and just kept doing what I do. And a couple weeks later is when this supposedly terrible joke that I had made was made. And, oh, what a freaking joke. I'm sorry. It just gets me so fired up thinking about it. But the supposedly terrible joke that I had made was made a couple weeks after the butt spank. And I thought nothing of it. There was one girl who seemed to be offended for some odd reason. I guess she felt the need to be a part of our conversation. I have no idea. But she felt offended over something. And my friend Spencer, who was involved with this situation, he was like, hey, man, like, I don't know. I think we might have upset. I'm not even going to say her name. We'll call her Susan. That'll be her quote-unquote name. I think we might have upset Susan. And me personally, I was like, yeah, well, I didn't. I was like, she's probably fine, dude. I was like, I didn't think about it at all. Thankfully, him being a sweet guy, he was thinking about her. So he sent her a text that night and was just like, hey, sorry if anything we said bothered you or anything like that. So I was like, oh, thanks for doing that, Spence. Good job. But apparently she didn't like that apology enough. So the next day, we go into the office, and Spencer has an invite for the HR. Ooh, I love the HR. You seen those memes that's like, when you tell a joke so good that even HR wants to hear it? This is exactly how it was. And he's got a meeting for HR, and at the very end of the day, HR calls him into the office and gives him a little spiel, just lets him know, hey, this is what we think happened, and this is what we were told, and yada yada. I didn't have an invite to the meeting, but because I'm a decent friend, I saw that he went in there. It was my time to go home. It was the end of our day. It hit 5 o'clock. I'm ready to bounce. But I stayed there with him because I was like, I'm not going to let him take the fall if I was involved in this. So I stay there with him, and he comes out, and then the HR manager gives me the 2 fingers and says, come on in. I'm like, oh, brother. So now I go back, sit down, start it off, and he's like, so do you know what's going on here? And I'm a little bit petty and salty at this moment, and I tried my best to be as nice as possible. I was a little frustrated, but I said, no, I actually have no idea what is going on. I'm like, I have no idea why we're having this situation, because once again, just to emphasize to everybody, this was not a joke that would have caused anybody to raise an alarm at all. But people are a little bit soft and squishy these days, so it's how it is sometimes. Anywho, so I just tell them exactly what happened. I'm like, yeah, this is what happened, and sorry if somebody took offense to that. I apologize. Didn't mean to hurt anybody's feelings. And I was genuine about it. I didn't actually, I was upset that she was upset, but if she got upset, so be it. You just got to accept sometimes. Rather than argue and just be like, yeah, sorry if that offended you. I'll try not to make those jokes. So that's what we tell them, and we're just like, yeah, sorry if something that we said was making people upset. We'll try not to say stuff like that anymore. And then we just moved on. So I said, okay, cool. That was nothing but the easiest thing. I'm all about it. A week goes by and nothing. So I'm thinking we're in the clear. Everything's good. Susan, our antagonist in our story, she was really awkward at work, and this isn't her first rendezvous with reporting folks to HR, by the way. This is like her 100th. So this isn't something new to her, unfortunately. But she was a little awkward, but it seemed fine. She was still talking to us, and we were just talking to her just nicely and normally. So I'm thinking everything's good. Then we get another invite to another HR meeting, and now I'm very angry because I'm like, okay, even if we made this quote unquote big mistake, we apologize for it. Like, there's no issue. We cleared it up. We had our warning. We're good to go. Everything's been good since then. And granted, there's kids in our office that were making jokes that were like far, far worse than anything I had ever said. I'm not one to really I'm a boy and I can make jokes that are, crude from time to time, but very, very rarely. My wife doesn't like it. I don't really like it. I just don't. So, anywho, the other jokes that were going around in the office were just, they made mine look like the PG movie. That's all I'll say. So we get an invite to this HR meeting, and we go in, and mercy on my soul, it was just, they sit us down. So first off, everybody, let me backtrack a bit. Everybody had a meeting to, we're not, Jason, real quick, is this going? Good. Everybody had a meeting to this big group meeting except for me and Spencer. So I'm like, okay, that's really weird. Something's going on here. That's an issue. All of a sudden, on our calendars pops up HR. And I'm like, no way. So everybody's got a meeting to this big group meeting. We're the only ones who all of a sudden now have this HR meeting. And I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. That's so annoying. So we get called back into the HR office as everybody leaves and goes to this meeting, which ended up, well, they didn't leave yet, but anywho, the big meeting ended up being about us. But we go into this sit down, and I walk in, and it's just me, our HR coordinator, and then the HR manager. So there's 2 of them and me. And they start giving me this nonsense spiel. And they tell me, hey, we're going to have to fire you. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And he's like, we're going to have to fire you. And he starts to tell me, he's like, you've had multiple accounts of issues with things. And I was like, what other account other than this joke? I was like, we already cleared this up. What's this other thing? And that's when it comes back and he's like, well, apparently you were slapping people on the butt. And I was like, what? What on earth? And I'm trying not to laugh because I'm thinking this is a joke. I was like, maybe I'm on Punk'd. I'm like waiting for the celebrities pop out. I'm like, I'm on Punked because this is absolutely ridiculous. But he's like, yeah, apparently you slapped someone's butt. And I was like, oh, I just wanted to congratulate him. I was saying, good job. I was just hyping him up. But apparently that's an issue. Don't slap people's butts, even if you've been friends with them for 7 months. But anywho, it wasn't like it was our first time meeting. I've known the guy for, we'd been working together for 9 months at this point. So it's not like it was a brand new thing. It wasn't like first time I met him and just wasn't squeezing his bum cheek or anything. I said, and it wasn't even his butt. It was the side of his butt. It was his thigh. I said, good job, dude. If you're uncomfortable, come talk to me about it. Don't go talking to HR. And this is one of the life lessons that we'll pause and I'll emphasize this. Listen, people got too many issues in this world to be dealing with stuff like this. If you're someone who feels uncomfortable at work or anything like that, please just talk to the person about it. Clear it up there first before you go to HR and all this stuff. Obviously, if it's serious, take care of whatever you need to take care of. But if it's not serious, let's just leave it at what it is. The same kid that I had butt slapped, quote unquote, he had been, there was moments where he'd walk up behind you and be like, back pop, and grab you from behind and pop your back and stuff like that. Or he'd jump on the back of your chair and wheel it around. So the butt slap wasn't anything new to, I'd known this kid. I thought we were decent friends. So be it. So, anywho, back to the firing. They sit me down and they tell me that I'm going to be fired. So most of the time, just because I try to be a man of integrity, I just kept to myself as far as if someone's mad at me for saying this or that, I'm just going to take it on the chin and move forward and just apologize. Yeah, apologize, my bad. But when it hits the point where it's like I'm going to lose my job in the worst the economy's been in years, we're in this huge economic nonsense, and I'm about to lose my job for who knows how long. So this was a moment of I just let him have it. And I'm like, your HR manager has said stuff about my religion. Your teammates have said stuff sexually about A, B, and C. This and this and this and this. And I'm getting in trouble because of this. And I just gave my piece. I said, if you have to fire me, so be it. And I stood up and I walked out. I saw Spencer waiting in the hallway next up for the slaughterhouse. I gave him a hug. I said, dude, I'm so sorry. Go enjoy what's going to happen to you. So he walked in. I go in the office, start grabbing my stuff, and gave a little speech to my team. Said, hey, I'm getting fired over a bunch of nonsense. I hope you guys do better here than I did. See you later. And just walked out. We were I was friends with a lot of people in that office, and I still am friends with most of them to this day. I work with them, and we do different projects and stuff together. And after me and Spencer get fired, they have this big group meeting. And just to add salt in our terrible wounds, Spencer, at that time, he was married. I wasn't married yet, but he was married. He had just purchased a home, so he's paying a mortgage. He's got all this stuff going on, and then he's getting released. So he's getting let go of. What's going on?
Blinking.
I'm at 9 minutes and 57 seconds is what I'm at.
I'm at 18 and it's blinking.
Is that...
Just keep going.
Okay. Sorry, everybody. Our cameras apparently can only record 30 minutes at a time, so we have to pause, and that's what he's trying to work out. Anywho, Spencer had all this stuff going on with... He's got a lot of things to pay for and just doesn't have time to be jobless. Thankfully, at the time, I was single, but I had just started dating my now wife. So this is her first impression was me getting fired because I'm a harasser of sorts. And they had this huge team meeting to talk about harassment. And me and Spencer are now the examples of this, which is absolutely ridiculous if you know me at all. But apparently I'm a harasser of sorts. But they have this whole meeting about it, and me and Spencer are just fired. We're just chilling now. We went out and talked in the parking lot. Kind of were like, I'm sorry, dude. I hope we can figure out. We're both emotional. It's like, this is horrible. This is going to suck. All of our friends that worked with us, minus the group of, the people that were against us, all of our friends that worked with us in the office, as soon as they're done with their meeting, they're like, well, it's lunchtime. We better go to lunch. They're calling us. Where are you guys? We're good. We got to meet up. We got to talk. And so all of our friends After we got fired, the whole office, except for probably 3 people, came and went out to lunch with me and Spencer. And that was a tender moment. We just sat down, and I was just grateful to have friends like that where, they know me, they know my heart, they know Spencer and his heart, and they just came out and went out to lunch with us, and we were all going crazy about the situation, how ridiculous it was. And it was a really good moment because I was like, no matter what, I have good friends who support me. I got good friends who got my back. I got friends who they're going to be there for me even when times are hard. And I think that was one of the biggest lessons and good moments for me, was just fully understand that. I always knew that, but it was one of those moments where it was just real, So as time goes on, the real reason I'm sharing this experience is just to open up what difficult chapter of my life was next. As time went on, I job searched so much. Like I said, I just started dating Amelia, and me and Amelia, we clicked so well. I knew probably within 3 dates that we were going to get married. We dated for like a year, but I knew we were going to get married, and I knew it was going to lead to that point, and I could tell just by the way that we were and our chemistry and how, she's amazing. She's absolutely incredible. I'll have her on the podcast next week, which is exciting. She'll be the first official interview. She's got a really, really amazing story, and how we came together was awesome. So I knew we were going to get married, and now it's like, hey, I'm jobless. Thankfully, I had saved up a lot of money for, I say a lot of money, that's relative to, there could be crazy rich people out there, and then there's vice versa. There's people who, grew up like me, very poor. But I had saved a lot of money for my own life circumstances and situation, that I had a good cushion, and I was like, I'll be all right. I got good money, and I know people within the sales industry, so I can find a job quick. I'm sure I can. Well, 6 months later, I'm still jobless. I had to move into a cheaper place. I had lost probably over $15,000 of my own money, $15,000 of my own money. Thankfully, me and Amelia were still dating. Right before I got fired, I signed up for this school, which was a public speaking school. It cost a lot of money, but I wanted to figure out how people become public speakers. So I went to this little school online. And so right before I got fired, I signed up for that, tons of money, and then I got fired. So just from being fired alone, my savings dwindled about $15,000 I had lost. For a young 21, 22-year-old boy, that's a lot of money. And I'm just like, dang, I was just barely on top of it. I had saved up a bunch of money. I was looking into purchasing a home. I was like, dang, I'm on top of it for a young guy. I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. And then all of a sudden, it was all stripped from me. The home was no longer an option. I didn't tell anybody about it. I just kept it to myself because I was embarrassed, which is kind of dumb of me. But I didn't want people to know. I didn't want people to think that I couldn't do it. Maybe it was a little prideful of me, but I just didn't want people to have to worry about it. And I just assumed that I would get a job sooner than later. So I kept it all to myself, and me and Amelia, we just loved each other through it. When we dated, it was the best experience I've ever had. We had such an amazing, amazing year of dating together prior to getting married, and it was just so fun. But it was in the midst of all of this challenge. It was in the midst of me losing all this money. I had applied during this time, over the course of this 6 months, I'd applied probably to 600 plus jobs, and I'd interviewed all the time. I'd get an interview at least once a week. Sometimes you get the automatic response, we're not taking applications, and you're just like, yeah. But on LinkedIn, I remember looking for jobs, and within 5 minutes, there were certain jobs that would have over 100 applicants to it. And here I am, this 22-year-old kid, like, what am I going to do here? How am I going to compete with the 100 other applicants who are probably older than me, who are probably more experienced? I'm just stuck. And during this time, it was hard because I was dating Amelia, I had money, and all of that, was getting taken away. I didn't know what to do. So just kept working at it. eventually I reached back out to the company I had been working for before. I had left this company for this new company, and I reached out to them, my old manager, sent him a text and was just like, hey man, here's the situation. I've been jobless for a long time and I need a job. I need one bad. And so thankfully they took me back and I was able to start working there. But there was a span of 6-7 months that I was jobless and I had lost so much money. I had lived in this apartment complex that thankfully was super cheap because it was ghetto as crap and the carpet was all gross and it had moldy it was old place. But in that same place, in fact, before I say that, it was an old, I'll get to that point, but it was an old, crusty place. The stove was always continuously on, but it was like hot. And so at any moment, I'm like, this house is going to explode. It looks like it was made in the 1950s, or not even the 1950s, the 1850s. Like the carpet was, I'm like, if it started off white, that's bad because it's brown. Anywho, me and my cousin and our good friend lived there, and it was only $900 a month. So we split three ways. So that way I only had to pay $300 a month for rent. And it was just, by all circumstances, it was tough. And it was hard to lose all the stuff that I had and that I thought I was doing well with. It was hard to lose, I was ready to buy a house, and that was a big moment for me. I don't come from any money, and for me to be able to save up all by myself from working really hard, to be able to save up enough money to be able to get a house and things like that, that was a big moment for me. And so having that all taken away, it kind of humbled me and made me realize, what is most important? What do I need to work on? What is it that I can do to be better? And all of this was going on, and that's why the podcast hasn't been. So the point that I'm trying to make is that although it was really hard and difficult, although it was, I'd lost so much money, I had gotten turned down so many jobs, and there was a few jobs that hurt a lot because I really wanted them, and it came down to like me and one other person. And I remember just sitting in my room. Amelia comes over after she's been working, and so she comes over, and I'm just sitting in my room on the floor. Didn't have a bed frame, just my crusty little twin bed. For perspective, I'm 6'3", a twin bed. My feet hang off the end. Anyway, I'm just in the corner on this crusty freaking apartment, and Amelia comes over, and I'm like, I just got turned down another job. So there was a lot of aspects that really, really were hard, but in the midst of all of this, there was so much joy and so much fun. I was able to have these moments where I would pause and just think, like, how ridiculous is this? This is like the stuff you see in movies. I was on top of it, and now it's all gone. And now I have the opportunity to be my own superhero. I have the opportunity to find all the strength inside of me and just pull it out and make it out of the mud. I have this opportunity. How exciting. I am not like most people when it comes to this. I'm built different, you know what I mean? But when it comes to hard things and hard circumstances in life, I better knock on wood before I say this out loud. Let me get, you know what I mean? But I almost enjoy it. There's an aspect of me that would be upset if somebody else did it for me. I look at my life and the challenges that I've been through, and I'm like, you know what? To quote the scriptures, here am I, send me. That's how I feel. And so when I was in these moments of hardship and all of the stuff that we had going on, I just said, here am I, send me. If anybody can do this and get out of this situation, it's me. I can do it. And I want to do it. And I just hope that a lot of you people who are in these rough, tough situations, I hope you have those moments where you realize that every movie that involves somebody overcoming a challenge, it's such a good movie because of the challenge. It's not a good movie because of the happy and clappy and this and that, but it's such a good movie because of the challenge. All the stories that we read of these amazing people doing amazing things, they're amazing because of the challenges that they went through. So when you're in the midst of challenges, when you're in the midst of trials, if you look at your life in that aspect and say, how can I become the hero of my life? How can I become this main character and do something with it? Joe Rogan always talks about, well, I don't know if he always talks about it, but he has that clip of him saying that imagine your life if there was a film crew filming everything that you did. How boring or how awesome would your movie be? Genuinely think about that. Would I be the most boring person to watch, or would I be awesome to watch? Because they're like, Monson, he lost all this money. He lost the opportunity of getting a house. He got turned down to 600 jobs. He had all of this stuff go wrong, but he figured it out. And the girl that he was dating during that time, he still ended up with her. He still got the woman. He still got the girl, even though most girls would leave. That speaks a lot to her, not just myself, but it speaks a lot to Amelia. She had a lot of faith in me, and I can't explain how grateful I am for that. And if I could take away another lesson from this whole situation, it would be that. It would be finding someone in your life that will stick it out with you in the hard times. If you're with somebody who loves you when you have money and loves you when you have this and loves you when you have that, then it's probably not the best relationship. But if you're with someone that can see you on both sides, the high side and the low side, and they still love you the same, that's what you need to hold on to. And that goes for your spouses, that goes for your friends, that goes for everybody. And I am so grateful that in those moments, and in this moment specifically, I had all of that. I had made the decisions prior to this circumstances happening. I had made the decisions prior to getting good friends, I had good friends in place. I had a beautiful, beautiful girlfriend who became my wife in place. It didn't happen all of a sudden. And thankfully, I was prepared and had people that would help me through those things. And so a lot of people I know, they go through challenges totally on their own, but even before that, they didn't have friends. They didn't have people that they could trust. They were like solo. And it's like when you go through hard things, you're going to want those people. You're going to want to have those people. You want a brotherhood, a sisterhood, a spouse, whatever it may be. You want to have those things, and I'm grateful that I did. And so all of this is going on. Come here, Winston. Come on up, brother. Oh, here we go. Bring him in. Everybody, this is Winston. Quick pause. This is my mother-in-law's dog, Winston. We love Winston. He entertains us, and that's why this blanket's here. He'll be joining me from time to time. I'm sure he likes sitting in that spot. But his eyes look the other way. He's lit nonetheless. I mean, that's my boy. Me and Winston, he dabs me up. Every morning he waits for me at the end of these stairs. I sleep upstairs. I come downstairs, and he just waits for me at the bottom of the steps for me to come down, and he hangs out with me while I work. So I assume he'll be able to hang out with us from time to time. Appreciate you, Winston. Thanks for coming by. Big dog. But anywho, back to the story. I am excited to be back. I just wanted to let you all know that's what's been going on. That's why it's been hard to do the podcast. But the name of the podcast speaks for what I am, and it's life must go on. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It doesn't matter what challenges are coming up. I will always come back to this podcast because there are people out there who have messaged me, who have called me, who have talked to me and said, Monson, the things that you share bless my life. And so who am I to not do that? Who am I to say, I don't got time for it? And I've done that, and I apologize, but I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to help people. One thing that I'll end on, and this is one of my favorite quotes. I don't know if I'll end on it. I hope I'll end on. We'll see. I might ramble on. But one of my favorite quotes, I learned it from watching I Am Legend, and then I looked more into the story. But it's actually from Bob Marley. Bob Marley, he's prepping up to perform at a peace rally. And the night before, a couple gunmen come and shoot his wife, kill his wife, and they shoot him as well. He lives through this, and the very next day he goes up and performs on stage. And while he's performing, in the back, there are those same gunmen that shot him down the night before. But he continued to do it. Afterwards, an interviewer goes up to him and says, Like, Bob, you knew how dangerous it was. Why did you do this? You knew, like, what made you come out here and do this? And he said, the people that are trying to make this world worse aren't taking a day off. So how can I? That hits me every single time. Every single time I think of that, I am motivated to push forward, because I have people in my life who have come to me personally and said, Monson, the only reason I was able to make this decision was because of your podcast. Monson, the only reason I was able to overcome this challenge was because of your podcast. Whether it's something I said or something that a guest said, I just want to give people that opportunity and want them to always be able to have at least someone's voice out there that can resonate with them, that they can relate to, that they can take lessons from and experiences from. That's why I do Life Must Go On, and that's why we're getting back to it. The last thing, this is where I'll end on. It's the new year. There's a lot of inspiration at the beginning of the year. So make goals. Find a way to actually accomplish them. Don't make these stupid New Year's resolutions that you're never going to keep. Make small goals that are achievable. Don't go crazy. You'll get to the crazy eventually. But to get to the crazy goal, you have to do the small goals in between. So make small goals that you know you can achieve, so that as you go on through 2024, you actually are achieving those goals and actually feeling the momentum that comes from doing good things. Oh, I woke up early 3 times this week. Next week, maybe I can wake up early 4 times, get an exercise in, read a little bit in the morning, do something to get my body going. Whatever your goals may be, make small ones that you know you can achieve, and then once you're getting good at that, make the next goal, and it'll take you to the next place. The reason I say that is because I've always known I will always do the podcast, but there has been several times where there's been a gap in between. Granted, I have some good excuses, and I can explain why, I haven't been doing it, and I can say, well, there's this, I got married, I'm having a baby, there's A, B, and C. But all excuses aside, I don't consider it a failure when I haven't done the podcast. I don't consider it a failure when it's like, oh, it's been a couple months and no one's heard from me and they're asking about it. What do I do? That's not a failure to me, but it's just an attempt, and now it's time to pick myself up and just keep that attempt going. It's just a prolonged attempt. And so some of your goals that you've set that you feel as if you're not accomplishing, quote unquote, if you want it bad enough, it will always come back. I want the podcast so bad for people that listen to it, for myself, that I know I'll always come back to it. And as time goes on, I'll get more and more consistent, and I know that eventually it'll be every single week. You'll never miss from me ever again. So when you make goals, look at it that way. Do your best to just keep them and keep working at it. Even if you feel as if you're not making it, just keep working at it. That is everything that I have today. I'm excited to be back once again. 2024 is a wonderful year. Kobe year. I used to have a picture of Kobe on the wall. He's on the ground right now. Maybe we'll toss him up. But this is the Kobe year. Mamba mentality. Time to lock in and make something happen. Make something of yourself. Do something different. Reach goals. Overcome challenges. Be the hero of your story. And I'll see you next week. Boom! Okay, we're done. All right.